everyone. This is Table for Two with Naomi Nachman on the Nachum Siegel Network. It's Wednesday morning and it's a glorious day right here on the Lower East Side. I'm joined in the studio by my partner in crime, Miriam Pascal, for 1 hour of schmoozing, chatting. I can't say eating, but I'm going to go through Miriam's bag because I know she's always got some good nush in there for me. ZK is in the house. We're going to have an incredible show. I'm super hyped today because my book is literally right off the presses. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Naomi Nachman and I'm about all the food all the time. I love food. I love shopping for it, cooking it, eating at restaurants, anything food related. I'm a personal chef, cookbook author, 2 books now. Anytime you don't feel like cooking, you can give me a call. I'm happy to do it for you. I hope you'll tune in every week and hear about my cooking adventures, kosher food traveling, and sharing of great recipe ideas. Great ideas and recipes. I said that right. You know what I mean, guys, right? Okay, I want to hear about your food experiences too. So feel free to email me, naomi@nachumsiegel.com. My email was down for about 4 weeks when I got my new phone. It didn't translate over because I couldn't remember my password. So now my email address is up and running for naomi@nachumsiegel.com. So you can continue your email. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. You guys know that I love to travel, right? Like I've done a lot of traveling in the last 2 years. I've been to 10 countries or 12 countries or cannot get enough of flying around the world. I don't know. Even though I was like Israel, Florida, I'm going to Toronto this coming week for a book signing. I want to say I'm addicted to traveling, right? Would you say that about me? Yeah. I love going to the airports. I love looking at snacks at the airports. I love getting on the plane. The one thing I don't like is landing. I don't like landing. It makes me a little bit.
I don't like airport security lines. That's the part I
right.
don't like.
So here's a trick, Miriam. TSA pre-check.
Not all of us fly as often as you
do. No, but it's $100 and it's good for 5 years.
Only $100?
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe.
It's worth it because you probably stayed in crazy lines when you were in Chicago the other week.
Chicago wasn't bad. They really...
How was Indiana?
The airport was so cute. The lady was picking me up at the airport. I called her. She said she's outside. I called her. I'm like, how am I going to find you? She's like, come outside. There's only one other car.
Oh, my God. That is the cutest thing ever. I want to go to South Bend.
The airport is so tiny, and the plane was also tiny. It was like the little engine that could, chugging all the way to Indiana.
Amazing, amazing. We're going to talk to Miriam about her foodie adventures and, some with me, some without me, also doing some great things and lots of traveling. Okay, so I have on the phone with me Rabbi Benny Rappaport. He was on the phone with us last year. He runs a Kalahari, the Kalahari Resort in the Poconos, not actual Kalahari in Africa, but there's a water park. And Rabbi Rappaport has put together a program, and we spoke about it last year, and I actually went. So now I actually have some framework to share with everyone. But he's on the show because he's working on Hanukkah again. Welcome back, Rabbi.
Thank you so much, Naomi, and thank you, Miriam, for having me, and congratulations on the new book.
Thank you. It's crazy. It's crazy that we are talking about a second book and a second year talking with you at your amazing program too. So tell us a little bit about what is going on there and how long ago did you start this?
Well, we've been doing hospitality and events about 4 or 5 years, winter and summer. And Kalahari was the first year was last Hanukkah, and it was wonderful to see the response. When you travel, and you talked about traveling, the hardest thing for kosher families, of course, is the food. And you bring food along, but you're schlepping out of a bag or out of a silver foil. Here, when we provide the beautiful meal service at the ballroom in the banquet center, you feel like a real resort guest. You're able to enjoy the amenities. You're able to comfort dinner with your family, light the menorah in the evening in the dining room, and really enjoy delicious, fresh food, freshly prepared on china, and just feel like, this is a wonderful family time that you deserve.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it last year. And, I'm always looking to travel. And when you and I met and we did this collaboration last year, I wasn't even skeptical from the beginning, like a new place. You don't know what it's all about. I hadn't even heard of Kalahari at all. Even as a resort, for some reason it was like off my radar. You put it on the radar and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many places to go, but you know what? It's really nice to be able to go somewhere close. If you don't want to shell out the big bucks and, get on an airplane and travel to another country or to Florida, if you want to just be in the area but really get a taste of the warm weather and a taste of just relaxing and spending, whether it's Shabbat with your family or whether it's just a weekday program, checking in Sunday, checking out Monday, it's really something that people have loved, and we're so excited to be able to do that again for the community.
No, it's fantastic. And you're running like 2 weekends, right?
Right, so the Shabbat program is actually Erev Hanukkah. It's the 30th of November through the 2nd, and then the weekday program runs December 2nd and 3rd, which is the first night of Hanukkah, and then we have another weekday program for the last night of Hanukkah, the last 2 nights, which of course is Sunday and Monday, the 9th and the 10th. So it's all on our website, HanukkahKalahari.com, and people can see the options and the different rooms. The rates are actually phenomenal. Those of you that have been to Kalahari know how expensive those rooms can get, especially the African Queen Suites, which is really fantastic to have a 3-room suite with your family. Everybody has their
amazing.
spot. And we've been able to offer our guests a really good deal on the room rates, as well as beautiful meals served. So
it's right
great.
before the big holiday rush for them. Also, Hanukkah is much earlier than the regular holiday season for everyone else. So
correct. Early in December. And you know what's also nice about the setup there? It's an enormous resort, and there's like 1,000 hotel rooms. I mean, it's mega enormous. But the banquet center is its own wing, its own private space. It's only for banquet guests, and it's really great to have a place to daven, a place to have your meals, a place to light the menorah, a place to kind of hang out with the community, whether in between all the activities that you're doing.
I loved it. I love the fact that after being in the water park all day, I could come and have dinner. Great.
Isn't that phenomenal? And fresh hot dinner, and just beautifully with choices, and salads and soups and dessert, and it's just really, it's really wonderful. And we love having guests. We've done events at different places, whether it's Kalahari, whether it's at the Radisson Hotel, or
what do you do at the Radisson?
So we'll be there all winter, actually, at the Radisson. We have 4 Shabbatons planned. Yes, Yeshiva break.
Hello,
as well as
awesome.
3 in February. It's a wonderful, the Radisson Hotel in Scranton. I got to tell you about it.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
want to hear.
100-year-old building.
Okay.
It's a former train station. I mean, it is just Google it, Radisson Lackawanna
Tachana
Station.
Rishona, like in Yerushalayim. Okay.
Yeah, and it's this beautiful, stunning building with so much character, and yet they redid the entire hotel, all new rooms, carpets, bathrooms. So it's really, really balabatish and comfortable, but it's also really interesting, and there's a nice lobby to hang out in. And again, the banquet center has its own private wing. So we booked the entire hotel. It's about 100 rooms.
Oh, when is this?
Weekends,
I'm literally writing this down because
I want to go too.
Okay,
it's very Hamish. It's very, very Hamish. Yeah, and we have every weekend is kind of a different flavor. We have the Yeshiva Week for families. We also have a weekend geared for adults in the end of February with Rabbi Shais Taub, who's going to be our scholar in residence. So there's a lot of fun events. We have a President's Weekend at the Radisson. And what's really nice about it is that we broker tickets, and we have hot kosher food at Montage Mountain, which is about 10 minutes away. So if you want a local ski mountain, which is family-friendly, a great place to learn or take the kids, whether it's tubing or skiing.
Do they have tubing? I'm a tuber. I know, it sounds funny with my accent, tuber. I do tubing. I like 2 feet on the ground. I don't really ski. I'm Australian.
They have a couple different options there, tubing, skiing, snowboarding. They also have something called earboarding, which is like sledding on an inflatable sled, which is a lot of fun as well.
Oh, my God.
Groups. We do like yeshivas will come, 150 kids.
Yeah,
or
Naomi
or
and I are coming.
Okay, wait, so when is this? What dates are they? Do you know? So
yeah, absolutely. So we have...
Everyone grab pen and paper. Okay, I've got mine handy.
We have January 18th to the 20th.
January
Yeshiva Week.
18th, yeah.
We have February 1st to 3rd.
What's then?
What's nice about the Radisson is that it's a great place for families to come that want to do, let's say, a family reunion or a gathering or a brachas or bar mitzvah. We've gotten so many requests. Every time we do an event, people will come over to us and say, this is wonderful. I have a bar mitzvah coming up next year. It's going to cost me an arm and a leg if I do it in Passaic or if I do it in, 5 towns, whatever. What would it cost? And we'll book the hotel and we'll actually do a private event at the Radisson for a family. So we actually have 2 groups already booked. One is about 100 people. One is about 30 people that will have a private dining room, February 1st to 3rd, and we'll enjoy, the family together with
So anyone can come up. So anyone can come up then?
Yes, it's open to the public, exactly.
I'm literally checking my calendar.
Groups,
Rabbi, I've got my phone up. I'm checking my calendar. Guys, I know you're all listening to the show on your app or on your kitchen computers, but everyone grab your phones and check your calendars. I think it'll be really fun. February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And you can go skiing.
Now, here's what I have, something special for your listeners know me. So I'm going to offer for the Kalahari events coming up for both Shabbat and the weekday events. For the next 5 days, we're going to offer a special gift to everyone that registers. You can get $50 off per room for the weekday program or $100 off per room for the Shabbat program. Yes, per room. If you book 2 rooms, you save $200. It's a gift for your followers, listeners, group members, and there's a promo code. Okay, you ready for this?
Okay.
Naomi.
Oh, me! Yay! I'm a promo code. Yay! I love big promo codes.
They can go to the website. They can actually put the promo code in, and they'll see how the money gets cut off, and the gift goes back to our guests. So we're happy to do that for you.
Oh, that's so nice. So that's that is for the Kalahari Hanukkah weekend programs.
Yeah,
okay.
And that expires November 5th.
I'm going to also promote that on my Instagram, do a swipe up straight through. Now, let's just go back to the other one. It's January 18th, February 1st through 3rd. I'm taking very good notes here because I really want to, I'm always looking to do something fun with my family. What else?
And then we have President's Weekend, which is February 15th through the 18th.
Okay,
Big ski weekend, of course. And the last weekend for the winter is February 22 to the 24th, and that's with Rabbi Shea Staub.
Do you have a website with all the information about the various?
Oh, good question, Miriam.
Yes,
I'm coming for you.
mypoconokosher.com.
Poconokosher.com. I've actually got it. Okay, because we've checked out the site before. That is fantastic, guys. You know, sometimes going overseas or going to Miami or you know, getting on a plane or a train is a little bit expensive. You can use your points. That's great. I use mine a lot. That's how I travel around a lot. But to be able to just pack the kids in the minivan, I know it's very cliche saying the word minivan, or the Honda Pilot. We've got a Honda Pilot. Load everyone up and come away for Shabbos. I think that is, or just, if you can't take it away Shabbos, go Sunday, Monday. And I love these weekend aways.
Yeah, and you know, there are some very expensive programs out there, some really pricey things. And what we do is we offer something that's a balance. It's beautiful, it's balabatish, it's fresh, there's abundance of food, it's set up beautifully, it's served nicely, and yet it's affordable for the common family. And that's really what's been so successful in the past 4 or 5 years.
You know what I like about your program? You've got everybody from all walks of religious life there.
Isn't it beautiful to see everybody mixes? I love it.
I always find that heartwarming. I always find that very heartwarming.
Yeah, it is, because we're all Am Yisrael Chai. You know, we're all the same, really. It doesn't matter what kind of hat or yarmulke or strimo. Everybody's comfortable.
And we have proved it this week, actually, with you know, to put a little bit of a sadder note onto what we're talking about, you know, but with what happened in Pittsburgh. Didn't matter what religious walk of life you are, everybody's come out to support what happened in Pittsburgh. And I think
unfortunately, you're right. It's the challenges, the difficult times that bring out this unity, this unanimity that we all have, this neshama that we all share. That's all the same. Yes,
it's all the same. You know, we're all Jews, religious, not religious, strimo, kippas rugan, no yarmulke, baseball cap, girl, boy. We're just one and the same, and that's how they look at us. And we got to show this achdut, and we really did. You know, this week. It was a proud moment for all of us when that happened, but a terrible, tragic Shabbos that we all had. We all woke up to this crazy news. Not woke up, but said Hamavda Mekodesh L'chol. We grab our phones and we're looking at our phones, and somebody said, "Oh, you know, I couldn't." You have to kind of work out what's happening because people are posting sad pictures and this and that, and then you're like, "What's going on?" And then until you see a massacre in
actually, you know, we were actually having our Kiddush Shabbos morning at our Chabad Center, and a reporter walked in with a video camera.
What?
And yeah, she walked right in and said, "Hey, we want your comment, you know, about what happened." Obviously, we couldn't do any interviews, but that was how we found out.
Oh wow! They went straight to the Jewish. Where are you?
They just first address. They came to the Jewish Discovery Center, is what we call our organization here.
Where is it? And where are you located?
We're in a suburb of Scranton called Clark Summit. It's a beautiful community out there.
Lovely.
Very nice.
And they came straight to you. They probably Googled, you know, local Jewish community from where they were.
Yeah, I mean, we do lots of different events in the community, so they're aware of who we are and, you know, our presence. So we've been interviewed and they've come to different events throughout the year. And we do a summer festival called the Jewish Food Fest at
I saw
in a
that.
local park.
I saw that.
5 days of in the park. It was amazing. It was amazing, actually.
Yeah,
a lot of Jewish ethnic foods. A lot of the non-Jewish people love it. The knishes and the schnitzel, the falafel, the shawarma. That's food. I agree with you. Food is a phenomenal creation by the Eibishter. Hashem created food to bring people together. It's the most powerful tool of intimacy, and we love to have, especially on Shabbos. It's a great moment. Friday night, everyone's sitting together. The week is gone, and it's really a great time to connect with our fellow brothers and sisters.
And we elevate food by giving it a bracha. It's like, think about baking challah and what you say when you make challah. First you do hafrashas challah, and then you wash, and then you bench just to eat a slice of bread. How much kedusha has bread? The
shulchan is compared to a mizbeach, because just like the mizbeach, where you elevate all levels of life, the mineral, the vegetable, the animal, elevating it to the level of medaber, to the human level, we're able to use it for holy purpose. In the same way, the table, where we put mineral, vegetable, and animal, and we eat it with the right mindfulness, focusing on using the energy to serve Hashem, and as an instrument of bringing people together, an instrument of Shabbos or Yontif or Seudas Mitzvah. These are all tools that allows us to elevate those elements, to elevate the food and to refine it and to reveal the spark of Kedusha.
I love that. I tried to bring a lot of my thoughts into my book also about, food being so special, especially in a world where everyone's gone food crazy, that we have to still, to bring some ruchnius to food.
Right. Unfortunately, anything in the world that they've created has a dual purpose. You can use it in the right way or the wrong way. And a lot of American cultural food has become very shallow and not just the garbage food that's out there, but just it's become, people walking around the street and eating in the street, which is something which is not a most Jewish ideal.
Right.
Not the most adel behavior. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Bring back the holiness in life. Exactly.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, guys, so I want everyone to sign up. I'm bossing you all around now to come on vacation with me. We've got 2 weekends at Kalahari. Look at the level of even the conversation, how brilliant Rabbi Rappaport is as a Talmud Chacham, as an event planner, as a rabbi, just everything. And this all happens. But let me tell you, it really does reflect. Last year when he was on the show, I had no framework. It sounded like a great program. Let's go check it out. I was there. I am now speaking from experience. The program was amazing. And I just, it was a nice little break, running around crazy, doing chop competitions and cookbooks and demos and radio shows. And I got to come with my family for a couple of days and not have to schlep food with me. What a machaya.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure having you as well, and look forward to the next one.
Okay, great. So we've got a promo code coming up for the next 5 days. Use the promo code Naomi at mykosherpocono.com. You have any?
The website is Chanukah Kalahari.
Oh, Chanukah
That's the easiest way to do it. ChanukahKalahari.com.
Great, fantastic, and then a whole bunch of weekends in February for skiing, kosher catered weekends with a little bit of ruchnius, a lot of ruchnius as well for some of those Shabbos programs with scholars and residents. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
All right, take care. Shabbat shalom. Wow, it's always so nice to talk to him. Isn't he so fun?
That's amazing.
He's great. And when I met him in person.
I'm excited. I want to go.
Yeah, let's go. Maybe bring some of your family.
Yeah, or I'll just go with my Nachman family.
That's true. It's really sweet. Like Miriam, they interviewed me for the Mishpacha magazine about the book. And they said, what was one of the exciting parts about doing the book? I said, having Miriam move in.
I really did. People think I'm joking, but I actually moved in for 3 weeks.
We got some big, strong, strapping Vasil boys to unpack the car.
Yeah, it wasn't my moving in. It wasn't really my moving in. My little bag of clothing. It was
It's actually all the props. Anybody who followed the craziness on Instagram will see. Saw what went on. So,
should we talk about that process?
Let's talk about that process.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about the process of how Perfect Flavors came to be. So, after Perfect for Pesach, sitting after a chop competition, right? It was about Yom Ha'atzmaut. I was on the phone with Gordalia Zlotowitz, and I had this idea. I'm like, maybe I should do a non-Pesach book. I'm like, Miriam, what do you think? And Gordalia said, okay. Rabbi Zlotowitz, Rabbi Meir was still alive at the time, and he gave us the permission to go ahead. And then Miriam and I said, okay, let's do this. And then from there, it was another, from May of last year till yesterday, literally 2 days ago. All information. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the creative side.
Okay.
And Miriam's done, this is her 4th book that she's photographed.
That's true.
You're catching up to John Uher. Am I saying it right? Uher?
I have no idea.
I don't know. He's done Susie's books. He did Elizabeth Kurt's books. So you're getting up there, Miriam. We get to see a lot more of your work, and you get to see Miriam's work on Instagram as well, and on different websites and companies and magazines pay her to do this excellent food photography.
Thank you.
Okay, so talk about it.
The photography? Okay,
Yeah.
so before we started the photography, first I had to pack up my whole studio. I have a studio in my home. I converted one of the bedrooms into a photography studio, so I have, it's hard to describe like the quantity of props, but I have
Thousands of pieces. I'm saying thousands.
I have, backgrounds and plates and bowls and napkins and cups and flatware and
Explain what you mean by background to someone
Okay.
who I know what a
Okay.
background is.
So when you look at a picture, you probably notice the props, which means the dishes, the napkins, the glasses, all that stuff. What you probably don't notice, but you will after hearing this, is the whatever
Show them.
backdrop. So if you're watching, not just
On
listening,
our Nachum Siegel Net channel on YouTube,
so
pick something that's more of a vibrant
yeah,
one.
like a distinctive backdrop.
Okay, we're flipping through the book.
Okay. Naomi loves this picture.
Okay, I'm obsessed with this picture because I'm obsessed
So-
with the bowl. Shout out to One Tabletop where I bought it.
So this is what you might immediately notice: the bowl and the salad servers.
By the way, that's the bowl from my house that I bought at One
Yes, this is
Tabletop.
not one of my props.
I used some of my
These were
house.
my props, though, right?
I think
I
so.
think I gave them to you.
You may have. I don't know
I
where they
have a
are.
lot.
Okay.
But what you may not have paid attention to in the past is the background. So I bought this custom made actually in Russia.
It's not
They
a
mailed
table.
it.
It's not
just
a
big
table.
piece
It's
of wood.
It's a giant board.
It's actually double-sided, and I'll show you some of the other.
And some here are wood if you're looking at the book and you're watching us on the YouTube channel. Some is wood. It's called dumpster diving. Miriam,
Well, it wasn't quite dumpster diving.
some of them, Melinda Strauss, Melinda, kitchen tested, and Honey's done it. Honey Applebaum, busy in Brooklyn.
I have.
Miriam's
I
done
have
it.
done most of this.
They go through like
So here's another
to look for
background.
the ultimate board.
So this green one that you'll see, this is also so there's a double-sided big wood boards, and I buy those. They come from Russia.
You didn't actually have to go to Russia.
No, but it would have been fun to go to Russia.
I know, right? Okay, next book. Just joking.
But then you'll see a lot of like very rustic natural wood, like
that she found like on the side of the street that she took and cleaned
So
up.
this I actually went to a reclaimed wood yard. And
Oh, really?
They usually build beautiful furniture out of the reclaimed wood. It's like when they tear down old barns and things, but they had like a scrap pile because the furniture they build is so expensive. Like if I were rich, I would buy a dining room table from them for like $8,000. It is so beautiful.
Made from old wood.
Yeah.
Just let's get that straight.
but like so beautiful, like custom made and like beautifully finished. But they told me, I said, I wasn't really looking to spend thousands of dollars. They're like, well, you can go to the scrap pile over there. And basically I loaded up my whole car for like $40.
That's amazing.
And so like this, for example, by the way, shout out to Homegrown Kosher, Ahuva.
Ahuva.
She gave us this bread that we used as a prop here.
She was on the show a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. So that this is from that reclaimed wood yard, and you'll see if you look throughout the book, like the really rustic pieces of wood. You'll notice.
Okay, so we're flipping through the book.
What other backgrounds are there? So sometimes we use like fabrics, like this one,
on the
chicken.
spatchcock chicken. Rather than having a hard wooden board, we have like material.
It's burlap. which I thought kind of went with the color scheme we had going on. And these are all things that you have to think about. So, and then I have these beautiful marble boards that we used.
Oh, they're beautiful.
These were made for me by Abby Wallen. And
we love you, Abby Wallen. You know, Abby was one of the first guests on this show when she did Sweet Up.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So she made these for me, and they're so beautiful, and they're like one of a kind.
I hope she's coming to the book launch.
I hope so.
We have
to
be in touch with her.
Yeah.
Because it's right in her neck of the woods. If you're in Passaic...
I think I spoke to her about it. So anyway, I packed up all my backdrops and all of my plates and cups and bowls and napkins. And I sent some with Naomi ahead of time because my little Camry wasn't going to hold it all.
And I had...
and then we unloaded it onto... What did we have? 4 tables in your garage?
Yeah, we opened up all the tables.
And we just set them up. And then for each picture, we had a kitchen staff. How many people did we have?
Oh, sometimes there was like 3, and sometimes there was like 8. I just say, we are such a great community of foodies, and friends. And if it wasn't for social media and Instagram, a lot of us would never have met and become really close friends. It's amazing, right? We would not have met. Look at Chaya Suri and I. We're 20 years apart.
And you went there for Shabbos.
I went there for Shabbos. It's like so cute. We became so close. People came literally right at their sleeves. Naomi Elberg not only helped me with her with the babka recipe for the book, came and made it with us.
She's awesome. So many people
came and topped challah with us for the book. My challah recipe is great, but I'm not good at braiding it. So Miriam Blander came and braided, and Kayla came and topped.
Riva,
and
I don't know her name now.
Riva Yaffe. She got married between the first 2 books. Like Melinda, I don't even. I'm not a Marky Hirsch. I don't even want to. I'm scared. I'm not listing because I don't want to leave someone out.
So many people came and helped.
They're all listed at the front of the book. We should do a giveaway.
We should do a giveaway.
We should do a giveaway. Maybe.
We should both sign this book, and then we should do a giveaway.
But we can't both sign this one because this is for ZK.
Oh.
Can you sign? Maybe you'll sign ZK's book also.
Okay.
This is for ZK. This is special for ZK. This book.
So we had people in the kitchen making food, and this was it's exhausting. Like when I think about it, I'm like, how do we do it? It's exhausting. It was 12-hour days, and there was a staff in the kitchen, headed by Naomi, making the food, and then I had Miriam Blander most of the time in the studio with me.
The studio is my den. Okay, the studio is my den. I don't have a photography studio in my house. I have a den which has the outside wall of the den, the back wall, is glass. So it was all natural light. That's why the carpet is discolored, if you've ever been to my den, because I do not want to put up anything from that beautiful natural light that comes into that room.
Right.
And then a whole bunch of recipes were photographed. There you go. Back at Miriam's, there was a few things I tweaked. There was actually a recipe I tossed out. I said, this is a beautiful photo.
Very last minute.
And I was already very close to going to print, and I went to Mrs. Eisner from Arts Girl, and I said, this recipe is not working. What should I do? And I went to Miriam on Rock Shadow. She goes, you can't have anything in the recipe that you don't love. And I did not love that. It wasn't, my mum made it. It's one of my mum's recipes. And I called my mum 5 times a day. What's going on? What's going on? Like, you make it for me. I think it worked for my mum because she's in Australia. And sometimes ingredients are different there. And it worked for her and it wasn't working. I tossed it. So if you ever go to Australia, you can make the recipe. We'll have an Australian version of this book with a U in it, flavors, and that recipe. But it was just, it was
at the very last minute.
I tossed the recipe and we replaced it with one of the eggplant recipes. But every photo, every recipe, even before, if you work backwards and look at a timeline of a book going, off from the shelf, and the step before that was going into travel, how it's packed up in the warehouse, and then from the printer. And before it goes to print, it goes into something called a blue line, which the print again has laid out for us to do a final check, to make sure the pages are straight, to make sure there's no final spelling mistakes. That's 2 P's, and you know who I'm talking to over there. So everything is just make sure the colors are right. What else do they check off for blue lines? So you just want to make sure that there's enough sets of eyes, that, even though we've done many, many rounds of editing, and Miriam has a very good friend who's big.
Yeah, she's
so
a really good
I
proofreader.
still found a few things
Right.
after, and it gets done, and whatever it is, it's finished and it goes to the printer. But the step before that, I'm going backwards in our timeline, is the hours of recipe testing and writing. It's just, it's not so simple when a company says, write me a recipe, or a friend says, a newspaper, or you just want to write a recipe.
Right, so I do want to point out that there's a difference between like writing a quick recipe for Instagram, where A, you can make changes if some people have questions, and B, it doesn't have to be written all professionally, because it's just,
it's fun space.
It's casual.
It's casual. I like
But
that word.
for a cookbook, there's no casual. Everything has to be so exact. You want people everywhere to be able to recreate the recipes exactly the same way
Every time.
without questions, because it's not like Instagram where they can just send a message or write a comment. What can you clarify this? It has to all be there. It has to be clarified. And it's hours of writing it. And then the editor says, but what did you mean when you said dice the onion? Is it large dice? Is it small dice? What do you mean when you say, cook it until it's golden brown? How long is that for?
At what temperature?
What visual cues do you want to give the person so that they know that they're in the right place? There's so much that goes into it that's the opposite, I would say, of a casually written recipe that you might post on Instagram or Facebook or something. Mix all the ingredients together and put it in the oven at 350 for an hour. That doesn't fly with a cookbook. Not a professional cookbook.
I just want to say something about Miriam and what she's talking about. Miriam has several platforms. She has a blog post. She writes for newspapers and magazines. She has her social media, a Facebook group, and she's done 2 of her own books. So she's literally the voice of experience that no one else has really had.
Wow.
No, think about it, Miriam. No one else has had the vast group. No, I'm not wrong. Susie's got 8 books, but she doesn't have a Facebook group. I mean, she has a small,
Right.
she has a.
She's not active on social media like
right.
I am.
Right.
That's true.
And she's, because she's Susie Fishbine, like she's
Right.
amazing. She does her tours, right? But she's not doing the weekly or Esty Walby. One day we'll write a book, but she's got her big Facebook group.
Right.
No one has really come through, and I think I do a lot, right? I do newspapers. I have radio. Not everyone has radio. I've done a book, but I don't have a Facebook group. Miriam, I think you've done everything. So when you,
What's left? Oh no!
I'm not saying it to
I'm
toot
having a
her
midlife
horn
crisis
because
now.
I love her. I'm saying it because I'm stating a fact.
Right. I do have a lot of experience in different aspects of recipe writing and recipe creation.
Right.
And it's different. And cookbooks are the most intense because there's just no room for error.
And you cannot
Because
write.
you print 15,000 cookbooks. They're out there. You can't be like, oh, there's a mistake now. Let's tell those 15,000 people who own the cookbook. It's like,
Right.
well, now that's just the mistake. And so you have to be so careful. And that's why there's the round after round after round of editing, and then round after round and after round of proofreading. And it's intense. And until you go through it, I'm sure you get this also all the time. People will send me an email or a Facebook message or an Instagram DM, and they'll say, I want to write a cookbook. Do you have advice? And I think people think I'm pushing them away when I say this, and I'm not. I think that if you feel passionate, you should definitely try to work towards writing a cookbook. But until you're there, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, you can't begin to imagine the level of work that goes into a cookbook.
Right.
I tell people, think about how much work you think it'll be. I'm sure that's a lot. Multiply that by 50. You're not there yet.
Right. And that's why we get upset when you post when people, not you, I'm not talking directly to, because my audience would not do that.
It's based
when
on a
they post-
misunderstanding.
Right. That you can post on social media recipes that belong to Art Scroll. It says in the front, all rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form, photocopy, electronic media, or otherwise, or even personal study group or classroom without permission from the copyright holder, except by a reviewer who wishes to quote brief passages. All rights of the copyright, the rights of the copyright holder will be strictly enforced. I like to see Gaddafi go after people who are
I'm sure that they would if there would be a real infringement. And it's a misunderstanding. And you know what? I've had very, very good experience. My followers, I'm sure yours also, are amazing. And when people don't realize, that's why one of the reasons I love talking about how much work goes into a cookbook, because I want people to understand what it means. So when people don't realize what goes into writing a cookbook and coming, from the first idea to write it until you're holding this in your hand, thousands and thousands of hours of work.
And money.
Yeah, a huge amount of money. And people didn't used to understand that. And now, as me and you and Khani, as we write cookbooks and we talk about it, that we bring awareness to why, it's not like, oh, you're being selfish, or, oh, you don't get to own a recipe. Yeah, you do. If you take a picture of a page in a cookbook, that is a copyright violation. If you rewrite the whole thing, that's iffy. If you make some changes, maybe it's not a copyright violation. But when you take a picture of a cookbook page, that is a pure and blatant copyright violation. And
what about if you're using it for yourself?
If you're using it for yourself, what I'm saying, if you take a picture of this page, this is a copyrighted material.
Right.
And
same with a photo.
So people don't realize that, though. They're just trying to be nice. So they say, oh, I made this. Everybody should make it because it's amazing and everybody should. But they don't realize that, in this day and age of social media where there's Facebook groups and there's Instagram pages where people can just share as much as they want. And that's beautiful. Except that how do we get back the investment, time, and money that we put into this book is only if people buy it.
The book.
If people don't buy my book and people don't buy your book, we can't get repaid for that.
Right. No.
And once people understand that, I find that they're amazing and they really don't share the recipes.
Right.
So that's been fantastic.
I really hope that every one of my listeners for the last couple of years, the 7 seasons, is going to grab a copy.
It's amazing. Okay, I just need to take over the show for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Naomi cannot toot her horn enough because that might come across a little funny. But I just want to tell you, and this is not me, I'm proud of the pictures, don't get me wrong, but the book is amazing. And I can say this because I'm not the author. The book is so amazing that okay, so the recipes basically, I would say, do you agree that they're divided into, I would say, travel-inspired, family-inspired, and then just creative recipes? Because Naomi just has this crazy brain when it comes to food. She thinks of things like turducken capons.
Quizza.
Quiche pizza.
It's a quiche that tastes like a pizza.
So that was basically, I would say, all the recipes could be divided into those 3 categories, right? But there's such diversity, like recipes from different countries and recipes for different occasions. And it's so incredible. And Naomi.
I'm blushing. Oh.
If you don't know Naomi personally, when you finish reading this book, you will, because this is Naomi. This book just really, it's like an ode to who you are in the food world.
And it's funny, I happen to always use the line perfect. Like, oh, perfect, I'll see you later. Perfect, we'll meet here. This takes perfect. That looks perfect. It's always been a line that I've used. So when we came up with perfect for Pesach, I was just taking a photo of of one of the dishes that we were photographing.
You're like, #perfect for Pesach.
I'm like, this dish looks so perfect for Pesach. I'm like, oh, that's the name of the book. And then we kind of stuck with that perfect thing because it's just part of my brand. I'm cheery. I'm happy. Everything's always perfect.
But I want to just say that the book is really incredible on like a whole different level. Naomi just put everything into this book. And I said I moved into the Nachman house for a few weeks and I really got to experience the book. Like I lived it. Like when you go to Naomi's Shabbos table, she brings out 1,000 dishes, it feels like, and then she tells everybody to be quiet for a minute so she can announce what everything is.
Right. So
and I love that because I've been to people's houses where they just plunk food on the table and then it's like, I don't even know what it is.
So I'm going to tell a story how this came to be. Tzvi, you have a long Shabbos table. The Abba sits at the head of the table. My husband sits at the head. And it's 5 chairs across, so I can have 12 people at my table. Okay, so Tzvi would sit at one end, and I'd bring out all the food, and one would start taking the food. Some would get past, some wouldn't get past. Tzvi, when I'd clear up, Tzvi would say, my husband's amazing at cleaning up. He's the best. Like, I cook, he helps me clean. He's wonderful. We have a good partnership. So he'll like, I didn't know what that was on the table. I didn't know that was on the table. So what I then decided to is I'm going to announce the food. And my friends all got used to that. And I don't take out the food piecemeal.
Do you know I started doing this because of you?
Oh, yay. I hope everyone starts doing this. Let me know if you start doing it. So what I would do is I don't serve the food like first I plate the schnitzel off the blech, right? So I put the schnitzel on the plate, on the platter, and then I would send it out. I don't do that. I plate everything first. I toss the salad, add the dressing on last minute. No soggy salads. Everything gets, and then at once, because your guests say, "Oh, can I take this out?" I'm like, "No, it all has to go out at once."
This too.
So it's like a food parade, right? That goes out, looks impressive, and then I go, "Everyone, shh, be quiet." And I hold up my hands and go, "I'm going to announce." And if you're watching, I literally do with my hands what I'm doing right
She
now.
She does. I can attest.
I'm going to announce exactly what the food is. And then I go through it. I'm like, this is pad thai, and this is potato kugel, and this is corned beef, and that's schnitzel, and that's tomato salad. I go through everything. I don't do it for the appetizer, just for the main. And that way everybody knows what's on the table to
and
pace
as a guest,
themselves.
It's so appreciated.
And people can pace themselves. And Zvi Nachman will know what's on the table.
That's important too.
That's the most biggest reason I do it. So my poor husband will know what's on the table, but I think it's really important. So
no, and I love that, and because of you, I started to do that also when I have a crowd.
I think
because and also that you make sure everybody passes things around.
Yeah, keep the food rotating.
So what I say, it wouldn't have made a good cookbook title, but when we were. Naomi and I spent a lot of time trying to come up with a good title, and I kept saying,
"Was it possible?" Can I just tell you? About 7 people emailed me saying, "I told you perfect flavors." I had to scroll up. I'm like, "Oh, they did."
They did?
Yeah, it came up. But I got
could have saved yourself so much aggravation, Naomi.
I know, but
I had that with something sweet that I had a contest to find the title, and I thought I went through every submission, but I wasn't liking any of them. I must have missed it, and then someone suggested something sweet, and I liked it. That's my first cookbook, for those of you who don't know.
It's a dessert book, and it's amazing.
And I liked it, and then I went back and I looked, and some other people had suggested it.
Right.
And I missed that.
Yeah. I feel a bit bad about that. And thank you for if you did come up with it too. I'm giving you a thing. But there was quite a lot of people in the end that
come up with it.
Yeah.
But so I kept saying, I wish we could call it something about love, because Naomi, really, you feel Naomi's love when she serves you a meal. That's really what you'll feel when you go through the book, and it's amazing. As the person who didn't write it, I just took the pictures, so I can't take credit for how amazing the recipes are. They're just fantastic. They're so diverse. So no matter what your taste is, you'll find something to love in it. There's recipes for just quick everyday dinners, and there's recipes for when you want to, host a nice, really fancy yontif meal. And there's everything in between, and it's amazing. And there's also, the ingredients are very diverse. It's not
but it's everything you can buy at a kosher supermarket. So some supermarkets call it one thing, and other supermarkets call Miami ribs are thin cut flanken. You couldn't find it in Teaneck, but they found it in the 5 towns. So I told the person, and I described what it is,
because that way you can. Right.
Gojajang, buy it in Gourmet Glatt. If I couldn't buy it in Gourmet Glatt, I couldn't have it in the book. Right. Gourmet Glatt was kind of like my Saturday. They are, I do brand ambassador for them, and they've been very big supporters of me for the last, I'm a supporter of them. I think that's how we started. We just got along really well, me and the team there, and a lot of Hakaras Hatov, and a big shout out to Gourmet Glatt. But we I was going to say, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought there.
But if they didn't have an ingredient,
right? So
so
if I didn't have an ingredient, I couldn't use it. So sometimes, if you are out of town, and a couple of years ago, I was in Alaska. I did a catering job for Chabad Chagiga, the Chabad Chagiga in Alaska, and they asked me to send the food, the ingredients ahead. So when I got there, it would all be waiting for me for us to cook. And there's 1 or 2 things we couldn't find. You can order it on Amazon. Yeah. I did the other day. I ordered a toothpaste from Amazon. I couldn't find the one I liked at CVS, the one in the standing thing. The standing.
So you ordered it on
I ordered it on Amazon. Okay, I had to buy 4, but whatever. 1 for the kids' bathroom, 1 for my bathroom, 1 for my travel bag, and 1 spare. It was
awesome.
It was good. Amazon is great. As much as try to support your local. We're talking about that. The other day, just keep it local. But I think it's really, really important to, if you can't find something, not to leave it out of the recipe. Keep the recipe pure. Sometimes you have to plan ahead. There's always Amazon.
and it's the thing about the recipes in here, even the ones that use an ingredient let's say gochujang, which is not something that probably everybody has in their kitchen.
I found mine at Gourmet Glatt.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying
Right.
it's a new ingredient to a lot of people, but they're very approachable. It's like try something new in a recipe that, other than that, it's very approachable.
Remember
to try
mirin?
something new.
Remember mirin? When, Susie Fishbein had mirin in a cookbook once? Like, what's mirin? And then now it's like at every
Everybody
single
has it,
supermarket. I remember when a wedge of Parmesan cheese was almost unattainable.
Really?
About maybe a little bit more than 15 years ago, you could not get a good quality wedge of cholesterol Parmesan cheese.
True.
And now you can. It's like everywhere.
Right.
So the kosher world, people like kosher.com has great ways to show you how to cook, and cookbooks and Instagram. And we have so many ways to look and learn. YouTube, right? YouTube is amazing. When I want to learn a new skill, I have to go onto YouTube. My husband had to change my car battery remote. Went onto YouTube to see how to do that. It's great. So there's definitely a lot of learning and growth that we could always do. And we always have to up the ante. That's what you feel like when you do a cookbook. Like what am I going to teach?
Right.
What's going to be, what's new? I think that's.
Should we go back to the process? I actually got some Instagram questions. Remember we said we were going to go live?
Okay. So
let's answer some questions.
Okay. We've actually collected a bunch of questions from some of the people that have asked me and Miriam, and we're going to actually do it on the air right now.
That's a good idea.
I
right?
think it's a great idea.
Awesome. It's going to find those questions, but let's keep going through the process.
People ask me this: when you want to develop a recipe, where do you start? They always, I think I'm going to say, in the kitchen. I always start at my computer.
Researching?
Researching, and I just write down ideas, and then I research, and then sometimes I pull out. I've got cookbooks, hundreds of cookbooks, and for food I have a good memory. For anything else I don't know, but I'll bring up. I remember once I saw this recipe in this book and the same recipe in another book, and I'll bring them upstairs, and I'll have like 7 pad thai recipes in front of me, and then I write down, and then I start playing around in the kitchen. Some have tamarind in it. Some have tomato paste in it. What's going to be the best? I like my stuff pretty sour, and that's very traditional in Thai cooking. So how many limes am I going to put in? How am I going to offset it with a sugar? Which kind of sugar am I going to use? So it's like, and then you take it, once I have my notes, I take it down to the kitchen, and then I go to Gourmet Glatt and do my shopping, and then bring it back to the kitchen, and we start cooking, writing.
You taste and adjust, right?
Pencil and paper. Like my dad, spaghetti bolognese recipes in the book. And he's made an amazing recipe from his head my whole growing up years, and I talk about it in the book. But we had to work out what he put in it. So take an onion. What size onion? Medium or large? So he had to have a look, and, he took it in his hand and like, use 2 of these. So I'm like, okay, 2 medium onions. Wrote that down. How do we saute them, Dad, in oil? How much oil? I don't know. Okay, 2 tablespoons of oil. I think that was my standard for sauteing in onions in oil. 2 tablespoons of oil. That's kind of like a rule of thumb for me. Rather than just glugging in all this oil.
Glug.
Like, and my dad said, it's actually a funny story. My dad, I said, he puts red wine into spaghetti bolognese. He goes, very thick Australian accent. He goes, chuck a couple of glugs of red wine in. I'm like, I can't write the word glug. Mrs. Eisert Art Scroll won't let me write the word glug in a book. And it's in the book, the story, how we came to measure. So it's really important to, measure and pour in the right measuring spoons. Yotam Ottolenghi speaks about that in one of his books. He says the hardest part about the recipe writing was not the ideas. It's using measuring spoons and measuring it out.
It's very hard I know you also, when we cook not for a recipe, we don't ever measure.
Shitarai in Yiddish. Check out my Yiddish, guys. I'm pretty good. Huh?
So it's really hard. Like sometimes you make something and after you're like, this is amazing, but you didn't measure. So you have to try to figure out what you did, right?
The worst thing, I make the best salads on Shabbos.
Of course.
Always. I can't photograph it, can't write it down. Sometimes I leave the ingredients out on the counter till after Shabbos, and I'm like, okay, that's what I put in that. But,
That's a smart idea.
Right?
I'll usually tell someone, remind me that I had a really good idea for a chocolate peanut butter dessert involving, and I'll give them a whole list. This happened one time. And then after Shabbos, I'm like, help me remember.
Right. It's hard.
It's hard. My best ideas always happen on Shabbos.
Right. Okay.
So should we go through some questions?
Yeah, let's go some of the questions.
Okay. So people are saying they want to know everything. So we're going through the process. So that's good. Let's go to some more specific questions, though. Someone wants to know who makes the food for the pictures. So we discussed that.
Yeah. me and some of my friends who roll up the sleeves, food bloggers, neighbors.
And we were producing, what, like 12 things a day?
Yeah, we shot about 12. The average is about 12. The slow day was 10.
The fast day was like 15.
Yeah. The day we did the chapter dividers, which is like one of my favorite parts of the book as well, they turned out magnificent. The pictures between saying what each chapter is. We did 12 photos in 45 minutes. We were on a roll. No food was involved.
Well, that was easier, right? Because
it was just laying out the things, but that was insane. And that beautiful pictures of the spices on page 10 is gorgeous.
So this is the chat. This is what we're talking about when we say chapter divider pages. If you're watching,
is that lined up?
Like where it says the dough, where it says that here. Do you wanna hold it?
Okay.
So like where it says dough, and then it has. So we went through the night before. We planned, what kitchen tools would we use to make dough, and then for the appetizers, we thought what kitchen tools would we use, and we came up with an idea to.
I look at the appetizers.
All these.
Remember, I was a bit nervous about this picture, and I love it.
Everybody goes crazy.
Oh my gosh, it's like little bowls, and it says appetizers across it because you serve appetizers in little bowls or little plates.
So I think we answered that question. Who makes the food? This is a very interesting question. Someone wrote, if she likes a recipe, how do you know thousands of other people will too?
Ha.
And I think the answer is that.
Yeah, I want to know the answer.
I think that people who are successful in this business have an instinctive understanding of that. A big part of it, I think, comes from the fact that we hear so much feedback from our followers.
Right.
So you post a recipe on Instagram and you hear people love it versus you hear crickets, which means nobody was interested, and you kind of scrap that. So I think hearing feedback, but there's also just like a kind of innate understanding of what people are looking for.
Right.
Staying on top of the trends, staying on top of,
knowing
the
what flavors and marriage of flavors go together. I think.
But then there's also an aspect of recipe testers.
Right.
So that's a whole nother process that we didn't even talk about.
Right.
Which is that every recipe was sent to how many people?
Every recipe was tested minimum 3 times. I want to say some were probably
by other people.
By other people outside of me.
In addition to all of your testing.
Right. Plus,
that was.
I think that's important to know.
Right, it really is, because it's not like you hope people will like it. You have a lot of people tasting it. Plus, we had so many people always constantly running through the house while we were doing the photo shoots, and they all were feasting.
Right, yeah,
Except I had to yell at them, like, no, we didn't take pictures of that one yet. You can't taste it. Not even a tiny piece. Yeah. So we just answered this one also. Someone asked how many times each recipe is tested. And we just discussed that other people tested at least 3 times. But how many times would you say you tested the average recipe? Like minimum, probably.
Minimum 3, sometimes 10, and sometimes I nailed this right away. So, the Quita went through a lot of rounds of testing till I got it just right. Moroccan chicken. Just trying to think. Your brain gets a little. The ribs, I made the ribs a lot. The brisket, I made a lot. And I would serve it to my guests. Week after week.
And I'm sure you say, I want honest feedback.
Yeah.
This is not, don't just compliment me.
My family is always brutally honest.
And that's funny because that was just literally another question. Somebody wrote, who tests the recipes besides you? Are the people brutally honest? And the answer is, you bet.
Yeah. We had some feedback. Well, okay, the BLT salad had to change the dressing because it was not good. She made it and she's like, Naomi, I got to tell you. And I don't know her. Now we know each other because I had many conversations with her. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it. Well, I've made it before. And you know what? There was a miss thing when she got it, quote when she got it. She didn't have the mayonnaise part. It's supposed to be creamy. It's supposed to have a half a cup of mayonnaise. And then she knew something was wrong. So she emailed me right away. I'm like, I looked it up in my computer. I'm like, half a cup of mayonnaise. So she added that in. She still said it was bad. So I'm like, okay, I'm going back to the drawing board. I'm going to fix it.
What did you do?
So she found it too lemony. Mm-hmm. For me, you can never have not enough lemon, and there wasn't enough salt. So we adjusted the lemon, just the salt. And if you want it more lemony, we'd say in the recipe doing more lemony. And the recipe came together beautifully in the end. So I was very proud of that. But
this is why recipe testers are so
I really
important to the process.
appreciated that. And then, there's a few things that made me nervous. And I'm like, I need other people to test this besides me. So, yeah.
Right. Okay, another question is, well, we discussed this. We actually answered a lot of these questions. I'm like reading through them, trying to find the ones that we didn't. Somebody asked, how long does it take to give out a recipe book? Like, you need to cook all the food first. So
What does that mean?
I think she probably meant the photo shoot part of it, which is, we got a lot of questions about that. So should we talk a little more about the photos?
Yeah.
Since I did those.
Yeah, no. I think now, and I just want to say, and when I took the train here this morning, from Woodmere to Penn Station, a friend of mine was also on the train, and she goes, I would never buy a book that doesn't have a picture for every recipe.
Yeah, 10 years ago, it was normal not to.
I was talking to Mrs. Eisner about some of Susie's first books. I am great friends with Susie. I love her. I work for her at the Culinary Institute. I'm like her big fan. I learned to reinvent my cooking, and when I was a young married, and her books came out, like we looked at her first book. I'm like, wow, like Susie's a gadol hador in the food world, right? I don't know how to say that in feminine. Gadolah hador.
Well,
Gadolah hador. There you go.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Good job,
There
Naomi.
you go. Yay. I have a degree in education, in Jewish education, and my grammar is terrible.
Not as bad as mine.
And she hardly had any pictures in her book. And sometimes if she did, it was a tiny little square, right? Like she had gorgeous chapter dividers, front and back, gorgeous, but not everything had it. It wasn't done back then. An art scroll, and let's talk about how awesome art scroll is.
They're amazing.
They
put out the highest quality.
The highest quality, and we're not just saying, you can tell, Leia Shapiro, Victoria Dweck, Miriam Pascal, Daniela Silva. Amazing. Like, who have I left out?
Chani Applebaum.
Chani, oh my God, Chani, you've done amazing. Chani's book is like a rock star. It's great. I'm scared to be the book that follows her. And Renee Mala, like everything has, of the later books, everything has a recipe. I think from Fresh and Easy onwards, and some of Susie's later books.
Most of her
later books for sure. It can't be that
the world changed.
The world changed. It's visual.
But you know what? I want to say that there is. It's not only about, there's definitely an element in looking through a book and it's appealing. Like, this looks delicious, so now you're going to go and say, I want to make it. But there's also an element.
I'm so hungry. I can't even look at my book. I want to physically eat my book.
Do you have any snacks for you?
You have snacks in your bag for me, Miriam?
Always.
Maybe. All right, we'll go out to eat after the show. Okay.
Sounds like a plan. Do you want food?
No.
You're not going to eat on air?
No, we got 3 minutes left. We're good.
Okay, they're going to miss that.
It's Erev Shabbos. We're listening to this Erev Shabbos.
But so there's definitely an element of the pictures
appeal
to you and make you want to make the recipes. But there's also an element of it helps you to know what it looks like.
Right. And especially
that's
people
really
who aren't
important.
Such good cooks and don't have
people are more inexperienced.
Confident. They're not confident.
So, even let's say I'm looking at the Thai chicken spring rolls, which are delicious, and I love this photo.
I love that. When I was at Disney last week, and I was in the Asia Epcot Center, and they had this plate.
No,
I promise you. I told Sophia, this is in my book. I should have taken a photo.
First. They copied me.
There you go. Copyright, Disney.
Anyway, but you don't know. For example, you might not realize that an egg roll should be a lot skinnier. A spring roll should be a lot skinnier than an egg roll. But the picture helps you realize.
Right, and also we explain the difference between a spring roll wrapper and an egg roll wrapper.
Right.
One has eggs in it. Guess which one? Okay. But and it's also, this is something I noticed, and just I'm sharing this, what Miriam and I experienced together. Like, Miriam took this photo. I'm like, I don't know if I love that photo. She's like, wait till you see it in the book and laid out.
Right.
Because looking at a picture through a phone.
I sent you, because for the most part, Naomi was there. I take all the pictures on my iPad. I control my camera through my iPad. So when you see it on the big iPad screen,
you take your pictures from a camera that's controlled by the iPad. I just want to make that clear.
Oh yeah, no, not on the iPad camera. That would not be good quality for print. But when you see the full screen, the full size picture, you can see it. But there was one time Naomi had to leave early for a chopped competition, and I sent her a tiny little preview photo, and she's like, "It was the turducken capons, wasn't it?"
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it was. And Naomi's like, I don't know. I don't love it. I was like, everybody seeing it here loves it. I was like, when you get home and you see it in the full size on my iPad screen, I think you'll love it too. And you did, right?
Okay. And also, when I see it in the book, I like it even more.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
so
something just so.
picture tells
I
a
keep running
thousand
my
words.
hands over the book.
I
Like,
know, it's crazy.
picture, look. Do you remember this?
This is the ceviche. So I sent, which is traditionally a Central and Southern American dish, and I sent it to my friend. Shout out to Michelle Ohion, who lives in Panama, to actually test it to be as authentic as it can.
And
she said it's not so authentic because it's simanim ceviche. So you don't really have simanim in, like pomegranate seeds and apples and carrots with ceviche, but she liked the whole, how I came.
Twist on it.
The twist on it. So she appreciated that afterwards. Okay, well, Miriam, our hour is up.
That was fun. Can we do another hour?
I know, right? Well, we've got Kosher Fest coming up and the book launch. We've got a couple tickets left for the book launch, so
Don't miss it. The event of the year.
It's going to be Nachum and Miriam are going to be there. It's going to be amazing.
And this Miriam is going to be there too.
And Miriam Pascal.
You have to think about my name for a minute.
No, I was saying Miriam Rosenthal. And there was another Miriam. Oh, Miriam Blander.
Was she coming too?
Yeah, and Reva.
Awesome.
It's going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Go pick up at your local Judaica store. If you don't live near a Judaica store, go to Amazon and you can purchase it on Amazon or artscroll.com too. We have music sponsored by friends Kerem. Right up until Lichbenching, we can dance in the kitchen while we cook. Shabbat shalom, everyone.